Hi, my name is Ken Asselson. I wrote the Microbiome prescription website, and today I'm doing an update video. People who have used the site for any length of time knows that it's constantly in a state of evolution, trying to improve. New information becomes available, or new ways of looking at the issues of the microbiome shows up, and changes are made, which means that some of my old videos from 2 years ago, 3 years ago are pretty stale and out of sync with what is actually on the website. So today I'm going to take a look at the what I call other labs analysis. Basically, these are labs which are popular but which do not facilitate a simple, easy transfer of data to the microbiome prescription website. Okay, so first thing, very simple. You go here, click here, other lab analysis. And what you have down below is a list of all the labs supported. So I'm not going to do each lab individually. And this video here will probably be replaced with a simple link without being so dominant. So we have different labs. And what does the report looks like? Here we have some example. Here's GI map. It's often gives you, here's a level and issues. Oh, this one is high, this one is there. Different one will go through and mark it a different way, different bacteria every time. Another one, different bacteria, different display method, in this case a range. Another case going up and down. Nirvana's one, or at least Nirvana sometimes in the past. Metagenomics, and again, another way of doing it. It's high, 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 or low. So every report does things differently. I'm not an employee of these companies, which means it's not really worth my time spending, in some cases, hours or even days trying to adjust everything accordingly. If they care to pay me, I'll gladly make adjustments. But otherwise, what I have ended up doing was doing a practical solution. So let's go over to one of them. We got Metabiome being the one in this case. So we go down here. And where is Metabiome? Actually, let's try taking a look at right there. This one here. I have the example here. So what we find when we go down here is you find the bacteria are listed. Not necessarily in the same sequence which the lab reports in. And why? Generally because the labs has changed the sequence over time. And as I said, I'm not an employee. They don't pay me to keep things in sync. So what generally has happened is I have done and listed the bacteria alphabetically by their current scientific name. I should say current because names keep changing. I'll give you a simple human example. If you do genealogy and somebody asks you, oh, where do you come from? Or where does your family come from? You may answer, it's Germany. Okay. If you ask your father that same question, he may not say, I come from Germany. The family comes from West Germany, because for him at that point of time, there's two different nations, West Germany and East Germany. If you go back a bit further, then your great-grandfather could say, where are you coming from? He will say, Prussian. And that was before Germany became unified. So the same bit of information could have many, many names on it, which is what we have here. We have on here a bunch of different historical names. Some cases, for example, for things called lactobacillus, which is commonly known for probiotics. Some of them have been renamed to lactobacillus or lactobacillus. So the names have changed, which of course means fun, because some companies will use old names, some companies will use new names. So it's a total pain. So very simple. What you do is go in and you take a look, and you may just go Proteus, go down here and protease right here, and is that normal? Oh, that one is high. So what I go over here is I mark that as, oh, I have a choice, high, extremely high, or whatever. That is a subjective choice. Sometimes it's visual, it's not. In this case, I would say it is more than halfway there, so I would probably mark it as very high. And the next one is Kapasa. I'll go down or go up to Kapasa, and that one is extremely high. Go down, the next one is Colostrum species. And there we have, and that one is, I would say, very high. So I have the things there. I could go down, for example, Bifidobacterium is normal. Here we have Lactobacillus is low. So we just scroll up or down and find Lactobacillus. And how low is Lactobacillus? It's right near the bottom, very low. Next one is Enterococcus. Go back up. Enterococcus, very low. So basically, it's a subjective interpretation of whatever information they give. No magic solution. Again, we could make it easier, but that is going to literally take days of my time, which would be, I really don't have that time to do it. And basically, it's more responsibility of the lab company than myself. So if they're going to act together, I will cooperate with them to allow easy data transfer of their data to my system. They just have to ask. I'm real easy. So we go down and we see if there's anything else which is particularly standing up. Nope, that's the main thing. So you just mark in as many as you have. This one is relatively short list. Some pages are 30 or 40 different bacteria. And I hate to say it, but okay, so now when we hit the bottom, you have your email address, and I would generally suggest you put in your name. That way it is saved. If you have a date that was done on, let's say 11/12/2010, and now we do this one, and I'll put comment on this. This is a demo. Do analysis, and it will spin for a little while, and now it will go and give you a page of things to choose. These are things which you can include in your suggestion, and there you can say include commercial probiotic mixture there and there. So you can play around. Here where it says parent or child, it means that we make inference. For example, we may know something reduces lactobacillus. A specific species of Lactobacillus reuteri may or may not be reduced by it. If we say, okay, we make these inferences with these two, it means that we could assume it will, whatever affect Lactobacillus will affect Lactobacillus reuteri. It's not always true. Usually it's true, hence the term inferred. And that's the number of items to show. And that what is shown is basically for ease of reading, and click show suggestions. And voila, we now have our suggestion pages. And I'm going to expand the page to make it easier. And these are suggestions. First of all, bacteria count is a summary of there. If we have any information about the bacteria being good or bad, in general, usually there's a yin-yang with bacteria. Too much is too bad, too little is too bad. So there's a middle ground, which means often the pathogen are indicators if there are too much. Doesn't necessarily means that if you don't have enough, you have a problem. So if it's too low here, a pathogen, not an issue. Don't worry about it. In this case, Lactobacillus being too low is generally not associated with it's not associated with adverse health. It is associated with autoimmune conditions. And then you have down below the items. Now, all these items, I will mention a couple of key items. One is the items here comes directly from clinical studies. There being clinical studies done with this, and it impacts a bunch of bacteria, some of the bacteria up above, and the one that impacts the most of the bacteria above by the greatest amount, given how much the shift is this particular one. You will notice we have a measuring stick here, and it says dosage information. So, okay, how much should you take of this substance? You click here, and you see right here, and here is how many milligrams per day have been done in different studies. And my general suggestion is you want to start with the lowest dosage and slowly increase to the highest dosage, depending on how you react to it. So we go back here. We have beet sugar, another one. Now, you also have this little bento box, food box. And if you click that, it will go and show you what foods contain resveratrol. So you can go down and say, okay, if I want to do it by eating, is there. Now, what we have here is the items which have significant amount, that is more than the typical food has, which has the substance. In other words, ones which are especially rich are marked with a star here, so you can click here or there. And now you have things there like, okay, lingonberry. So if you go there and lingonberry, you see the same thing here. And if you click here 2 times, you will see here is the main substances in lingonberry which are above the typical amounts seen for substances which has this particular item. So gives you lots of useful food information there. Over here we have things which you want to remove. Again, we have food. We don't have dosages here. Why? You want to remove it. So dosage is a moot question. Here's something you want to remove. And you take a look at that, and you are like most people, and you will say, I'm clueless as to what that is. Don't worry. Go over here. And voila, we have the foods that are high in it. So we see limes, oranges, etc., grapefruit, token amount in red wine, which has resveratrol, which means that probably red wine is fine. Grapefruit, orange blood, pure juice is not so bad. Blonde orange, lemons, and limes are high, so you want to probably go and take those things off your diet if they are in your diet. So, food contains makes life easy for you, and food on both sides, things you take. Again, dosages are there. There are occasions where there's no dosage there, and that is because dosage only will come from clinical trials or actual studies. In other words, we are working strictly from scientific studies and not from, oh, I think this is the magic amount you should be taking, which will differ from which social media person you are following to the next social media person. So everything here is based on actual studies which can be traced back to the source. Now, we also have at the bottom of the page, you have all these little foods sitting up and down here. We have gone and assembled all of them into a massive list using available information from generally government authorities around the world, from France to the UK to Australia to the US to Canada. And we put all those foods together and all their nutritional analysis, so that when we go up and take a look at some of these things, we can see which foods contain how much of whatever. And when we click here, we can go on. I'll do that in a moment. And then commercial probiotics is applying the same suggestions. May not necessarily show up here up above because you are limited. Remember, you specified 40 items or 20 items at the start. Looking at every items in the list, it goes through and calculate out which ones are the best one in terms of the most probable impact here, the ones to avoid, and then mixed or no impact are there, as in none of the information points saying that the probiotics in this column are to be avoided or taken. We have no information. And these we have mixed impact. In other words, these are ones which help some of the bacteria in one direction and hurts the bacteria in the other direction. So it's a mixed impact. Up here are the positive impact. Absolutely everything will help in all probability, keyword probability, because I'm having to do probability estimates. Your current one. In other words, all these should be safe takes. Negative impacts are ones which will push every single bacteria which are being picked in the wrong direction. So these are to be avoided. So absolutely high confidence to take, absolutely high confidence to avoid, and mixed confidence. Usually don't look at those if you have a good list here, because you really want to stack the odds in your favor. Okay, let's get back to nutrients. Model food, nutrients. I warn you, it says a large page. We also have here a video which will go and explain how we are calculating this stuff. For those who are interested in the mathematics and the methodology involved, again, I try to be open source, open data. And now if you click that, it will go through and it will go through and give you the list of foods by estimated values. And as you see, we have 2,200 items. And the items are ordered by the benefits here. And what we have is estimated take value, estimated avoid and you find that there's a horrendously long list. If you take a look at one of these, and you will see the items which are marked significant, which I'll go and do there. These are the items which are significant in that particular food, which are more than typical. One or more of these items are pluses. For example, probably I suspect the vitamin B6 is the main plus there. And then we have other things. We have 2 values for niacin. Again, we're using from many sources. And sometimes the sources have difference of values. Slight difference here. So that will give you a background as to why one of those ingredients, which one is buried in calculation, results in orca fruit dried being selected. If you go to other ones in here, like wheat bran, and there, and we click here, and we have another list of things, and we have vitamin B6 there. So it could be vitamin B6, it could be niacin, it could be any of these. Notice that all of these are almost identical to the prior one. And anything with a 1.9 is probably going to be almost the same identical things. If you go down to, well, actually up at the top I have all the values. So we have 1.9. If you go down to something with a different value, and the reason we want to go to a different value is very simple, is because generally everything with the same value has the same set of nutrients or the same set of significant nutrients in it. So if we go down to red beans dye, click here and click twice here, and these are the significant items in that particular food. So that combination, which can come from many sources, is what you're looking for. So you may not be an oyster person, that's fine. You could do red kidney bean or wheat germ. Both of them provides the nutrients which are important for your microbiome. So let's stop and hop back. So once you get the suggestions, once you put in your data, you click through, you get your suggestions, you get a summary here for reference. And the summary there is handy for reference. If you are going to print to a page or PDF, a particular PDF, you may want to open up all of these because they will be hidden if you don't. Again, we have this which opens up in a new page, and we have a video explaining how we do it. And then we have the probiotics there. So you now have the following thing. You have the raw information, which are the first class suggestions. Why? Because they are directly from clinical studies. We now have commercial probiotics. These are not from clinical studies because most commercial probiotics have never been studied and had their results published. Variety of reasons for that. Often they don't need to spend the money doing studies. They can just do marketing spiel and promises and this is the best probiotic ever stuff to sell the product. They don't need studies to back up the ability to sell, or they don't doing a study is going to have sufficient payback. And then we have the food studies here, and the food studies again are sweet because what they do is they take some of these names of things like grape purpurals or lactulose or other things and translate them to foods so that you can go and do it. Again, when you go over to foods, what you have is you have variety of levels of foods from high to worst. For example, if you go to the bottom and look at the worst foods, worst food is apple. So you shouldn't be having apple. You can go down here and go up to 3.2, cloudberry. Okay, unless you're in Scandinavia, you probably don't even know what a cloudberry is. And then we have another one. Again, if you want to know the whys, here, in this case, we have a mixture between the two. Let's take a look at hot cross buns. What do we have in hot cross buns? So those are the 5 ingredients, the ones with the stars are 5 ingredients which are significant, and chances are it's glucose or fructose are items to be avoided, or total sugars, but more likely fructose or glucose. We do have some information about total sugar diets. Okay, so that's basically it. That takes you through how to do it, and you can now go and play with yourself. You get your raw information, you get your modeled foods, you get your commercial probiotics. When you go to that big ugly list, you find that this particular item is particularly sweet for figuring out what to take or what not to take. For example, garden peas fresh. Why are there? Go here, and we have only 3 things. So folic acid, zinc, and water are the significant items. Probably, definitely zinc or folic acid is the one that's significant. Some of the other fruits we looked at also have those ingredients. Just have those ingredients, but it's not having a bunch of the other ingredients which are important. Again, significant amount means above the typical amount found in foods that has this item, folic acid. In other words, if you go over to zinc, click here, and we'll see these are foods that have significant amount of zinc, and somewhere down the list it will indicate there. And okay, looks like I have a minor bug which I will address. But that's basically it. Okay, I'll shut up and see if we can discover more bugs. Okay,